so much, Professor Mervet, for this very kind introduction. So I'm going to, my target audience is the authors who will submit a paper, maybe also for reviewers and editors as well. So we have two main causes of rejecting scientific manuscripts. Before peer review, which called editorial reject, which is the responsibility of either editor-in-chief or the associate editors in different subspecialties. So this is before reviewers are assigned. Then after peer review. So common reasons for editorial rejects: high similarity index. Now we have a software for plagiarism, and you have to have an acceptable similarity index. The article is not relevant to the journal, so it is falls outside the scope of the journal or outside the interest of the readership. A paper containing almost identical material has appeared in the same journal or another journal. The paper is fundamentally flawed, and the work is not original and has already been well covered in the literature. So common reasons for rejecting after refereeing process: the research question is not defined, the conclusions are not justified and are not based on results, poorly designed trial, badly written manuscript, and authors don't adequately respond to reviewers' comments. So maybe at the first submission or maybe at the revised submission, if there is no adequate response, the paper can also be rejected. So to avoid this, we have basic triad for any scientific article: the subject, structure, and mechanics of writing. So the subject should be an addition to the already existing literature. So read the relevant literature carefully before making or selecting the subject. Make sure that you are not repeating what had been done successfully before. The second limb of the triad is structure. So usually we submit an article in this order, and I will get a hint on each item as an advice to the authors. So title page should not include data about the reviewer, about the authors, because it should be written in the title page only. Don't write information inside the article that can identify the affiliation or names of the authors. And at the end of the title page, you have to make a declaration system which include ethics approval and consent to participate, consent for publication, which should include consent from the patients or the individuals in the study, availability of data and materials, is there any competing interest, and also if there funding, and at the end author's contribution in the study. Abstract is the first part that appears in the paper, but it should be the last part to be written. So for the introduction, the reviewer asks, as Dr. Haytham said, the following question. And we have to justify each of these questions to satisfy the, and the most important is the rationale of the study. should be adequately justified. That is means how well the research question or questions is or are defined in the introduction section. Then the methods, the reviewer usually asks the following question about the study population, the methods described, the design of the study, and the statistical methods. So an advice for results, don't write any result for a method not mentioned in the methodology section. Results must be written in a very clear, non-equivocal, non-confusing manner, and avoid redundancy. Means that each information must be mentioned only once. Only relevant results to the subject of the study and related to the aim of the study should be mentioned. Don't distract the attention of the reader by irrelevant results. Also, each information must be objective. Avoid using bizarre words, as some probably. Don't lose your objective. Each result should be useful to support the aim of the study. Also, the reviewer asks the following question, which the author should highlight the answer of this when writing the manuscript. Then, moving to discussion, we have 4 fundamental parts in the discussion section. Introduction, it should be short and not repetition of the introduction section. And then we have to highlight the new addition in our study. Then the limitation of the study. Before limitation, we have to discuss the results one by one with other results from literature, and then at the end of discussion, limitation of the study. A general advice, results must be discussed in a respective, logical, clear manner. Each issue must be discussed in only one place. Avoid repetition of ideas. Also, avoid opinion bias. So all important previous studies must be highlighted, regardless their result, whether with or against your results. The reviewer usually asks the following question regarding the discussion section. So we have to consider these questions when writing the discussion section. And the important point also is, are the author conclusion are supported by their results? For references, each journal has its own style of references, explained in the instructions to author. So read the instruction and examine a recent copy of the journal before submitting your abstract. All references should be written or cited in the same style with the same arrangement. Tables should provide additional information not present in the text to avoid redundancy. Tables should be simple, clear, not confusing, and easy to follow. Tables are usually written after the references, each table in a separate page, having its own number and the title above the table. Be sure that the correct number of the table appears in the correct place in the text, so the tables are correctly cited. For figures, legends of all figures are written in a separate page, usually after the tables. Don't write the legend above or below the figure. Just you submit the figure without any comment. The last part to be written is the abstract. Must contain 4 paragraphs carrying the following titles: objective, materials and methods, results, and conclusion, and usually between 200 and 300 words. All conclusions should be supported by the results. A common mistake is to write a conclusion which is correct based on previous studies, but not supported by your own results. Your conclusion should perfectly satisfy the objectives of the study. Also, for verb tenses, we have introduction, discussion, and conclusion in the present tense, while methods and results are in past tense. So the last point is the mechanics of writing. So who will write? When there are multiple authors, only one must write the paper. Junior should write and senior should revise. We have to write it in consecutive versions. The first version, write the paper in the following sequences. Then first, material and methods, followed by results, provisional tables, illustrations, and figures. Then write the discussion, introduction after the discussion, and write the maximum information you have. The second version, carefully revise the usefulness and quality of tables, illustrations, and figures. Examine each item of the whole paper. And the third version, discriminate between what is of primary and what is of secondary importance. Ask yourself the following questions: what can be shortened, what can be simplified, and what can be collected all together, and what can be omitted. For in the fourth version, finalize the references, write the abstract and summary, and choose a final title. So the title should be also the last sentence to be written. Ask co-authors, each co-author from sharing in the study, to check. Ask a consultant with reviewer experience to read it independently, because you read what you think you said, not what you did say. Ensure that the following items are present. We have manuscript spell check and grammar check. References are in the correct format for the journal. All references mentioned in the reference list are cited in the text and vice versa. And you have to know that size and quality don't go hand in hand. So maybe a small size accepted and large manuscript rejected. So as the final advice, start now. Writing, like every other art, cannot be learned wholly from books or lectures. The art can be learned only on the job. Once you start, you have to finish. And the last one, keep going. In spite of all your work, of your hard work, the paper may still be rejected. So don't be discouraged, and use the reviewers' comments to write a better manuscript. And thank you very much for your attention.